Attacks on drone production sites in the Russian Federation are great news. Ukraine is improving its unmanned systems, so such news will be repeated. This was stated on air by military expert, former spokesman for the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Vladislav Seleznev, on Radio NV. In particular, he commented on the information about drone strikes on the Kronstadt plant in the Moscow region city of Dubna. This plant is engaged in the development of engineering and information technologies in the drone industry. According to the specialist, this is a new production facility that was opened only in 2021. It specializes in the manufacture of large-sized drones and has a full cycle. That is, the weapons that plague us every night are manufactured there. Accordingly, the attacks on that facility are excellent news. Again, what happened once will definitely happen again, because the goal of our large-scale drone attacks is to weaken Russia's ability to produce weapons and equipment for waging war, Seleznev said. According to him, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are constantly improving their unmanned systems. For example, recently, for the first time, it became publicly known about the use of so-called mother drones, carriers for kamikaze drones that can deliver them to a distance of up to 300 kilometers. This is a new step in the development of unmanned warfare. As the expert noted, we see technological upgrades virtually every quarter. He recalled that earlier the enemy's large-scale use of drones controlled via fiber optic cables had made an impression. Now Ukraine is also actively mastering this principle. Now a new solution is in line: mother drones. Who knows, in the near future we will see drones that use artificial intelligence and can perform certain tasks in a synchronized and coordinated manner. That is, war, like a wonderful examiner, identifies the most effective practices for carrying out certain actions. In fact, this is very important, Seleznev emphasized. He emphasized that the armed forces of Ukraine today are not simply defending the state, but are systematically destroying the offensive potential of Putin's army. On the one hand, the Russians are killing Ukrainian civilians every day who have nothing to do with defense. On the other hand, the Ukrainian army is methodically undermining the enemy's ability to attack, the expert said. According to him, if President Volodymyr Zelensky talks about ending the war before the summer of 2026, this is a completely realistic forecast. And in principle, we are seeing the first such news on this track. Now the enemy is using armored vehicles, particularly tanks, less and less on the battlefield. Why? Because the enemy simply does not have enough tanks, because we have been effectively destroying the enemy's armored vehicles. And the key factor that the enemy has now used is meaty infantry assaults, the use of motorcycles and adapted automobile equipment. Well, artillery, because the North Korean government is now transferring artillery systems and ammunition to them on a large scale. Seleznev said. According to him, drones remain a large-scale challenge, but a challenge that is to a certain extent decisive, because now Ukrainian intelligence reports that up to 65% of enemy losses are the result of the effective work of our Ukrainian operators of unmanned systems.
Israeli airstrikes on Gaza's northern area of Jabalia overnight into Friday killed at least 12 people, including 3 women, according to the Shifa hospital where the bodies were taken. According to Associated Press, one strike on a house killed 6 members of the same family, while other strikes hit people in the street, the hospital said. More than 54,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel launched its deadly offensive in Gaza following Hamas' October 7, 2023, attack on southern Israel in which 1,200 people were killed and about 250 were taken hostage. The war has destroyed vast parts of Gaza and most of its food production capabilities. The war has displaced around 90% of the population, with hundreds of thousands of people living in tent camps and bombed-out buildings.
أطفال نايمين بعائلة بيجي حوالي 60 50 نفر بقلب البيت. فجأة لقوا زلزال وقع من السماء وقع عليهم. كل الأطفال أبرياء ختيارية كبيرة بالسن، وهذا عمل لا صحيح. واحنا بنطالب الدول العالم باكملها انها تقف مع الاطفال قطاع غزه المحاصرين.
ايش عاملين في العالم؟ هذا حماس السمك كله هذا اللي ما لهاش علاقه. حماس
Three open coffins, one adult-sized, one medium, and one child-sized, lay inside the Soviet-era Palace of Culture in this northern Ukrainian city, surrounded by dozens of flower bouquets as a church choir sang farewell prayers. According to Associated Press, hundreds of residents stood in grim silence as some wept quietly and others broke down completely. The farewell ceremony was for 8-year-old Tamara, 12-year-old Stanislav, and 17-year-old Roman Martiniuk, siblings from the same family. The children were killed over the weekend when debris from a Russian cruise missile slammed into their home in Kronstadt, a city of 24,000 residents about 100 kilometers west from Kiev, during a massive aerial attack. I saw destruction, great destruction. All the houses were razed and shattered, said Volodymyr Demchenko, a neighbor of the Martiniuk family, recalling the fatal night when the missile landed 500 meters away from his home. The funeral underscored the mounting toll on Ukrainian families as Moscow ramps up its strikes amid faltering peace efforts. It was one of several recent tragedies in which children and teenagers have died, revealing a grim pattern as hopes for a ceasefire fade and Russian attacks continue to affect civilian areas. He will not hear the last bell, and we have cancelled all the celebrations, and we have cancelled the graduation, because neither we, nor the parents, nor the children want a celebration, because for us it is a great morning, said Yulia Skok, who was Roman's teacher. Moscow denies targeting civilians, but abundant evidence shows otherwise. The children's father, still bearing fresh injuries, was released from the hospital to attend the ceremony. He and the two surviving siblings sat beside the coffins, a scene that has become heartbreakingly familiar in a war now grinding through its fourth year. Their mother remained hospitalized. At least 209 civilians were killed and 1,146 injured across Ukraine in April, making it the deadliest month for civilians since September 2024, according to the UN Human Rights Office and its April report. The toll was 23% higher than in March and 84% higher than in April 2024. Among the victims were at least 19 children killed and 78 injured, more than the combined total of the previous 4 months. It was the highest verified monthly number of child casualties since June 2022.